My sister chose not to invite me to her wedding simply because I'm adopted. Now my parents are pressuring me to grow up and help pay off her wedding debts. Let me tell you, it's not happening. My name is Sydney, I'm 27 years old, and I live a good life on my own, a life I've built through hard work and the support of my fiancé, Luke. You're probably wondering about my family. Well, I haven't had the best relationship with them, and they're also the reason I'm here seeking advice from you all. I guess we should start with a bit of context before getting into why I'm really here. As I mentioned before, I haven't exactly had the best relationship with my family. It's complicated and has been that way for as long as I can remember. I was adopted by my parents, the Hansons, when they couldn't have children of their own. While I'm grateful they gave me a home, it always felt like I wasn't truly wanted for who I was. They seemed to see me more as a way to fill the void of not having their own child, rather than as a person to love and nurture. Don't get me wrong, I'm not being ungrateful. Honestly, I can't thank them enough for choosing me and giving me a somewhat better life than I might have had in the orphanage. But when you think about it, it wasn't really that different. Still, I was grateful to them. During the first few years of my life, things were okay, even good. It's not like I was spoiled or anything, but I didn't lack love, and that was enough for me. I mean, it was much more than I got at the orphanage, so I was content. But everything changed when I was about 4 years old. My adoptive mom gave birth to a baby girl, Giannis, and everything shifted overnight. It felt like I disappeared. They were so consumed with their biological child that I faded into the background. While I was excited to be a big sister, it quickly became clear that I no longer mattered to them. I admit it hurt a lot. They didn't say it outright, but it became completely obvious that they no longer wanted me. It was like I had only been a placeholder until Giannis arrived and claimed her place in the house. It felt like my existence was a mistake they now had to live with. I felt like a burden, a mistake they regretted and couldn't undo. For a child who just wanted to feel loved, wanted, and important, it hurt deeply. I wanted to keep things the way they were, to stay connected with them, but it felt like I was clinging to something that was never really there. The more I tried, the more they pushed me away, as if I were some kind of inconvenience. It's not like they tortured me or anything, they still paid for my things, but it was clear they only did it because they had no other choice. They didn't need to do much to leave a lasting effect. The emotional lack, the feeling of being unwanted, all of that was enough to traumatize me for life. Even Giannis, whom I considered my own sister, always treated me like I was nothing more than a stranger. She was just a baby when she came into my life, but as she grew, it became clear she never saw me as part of the family. She barely looked at me, and when she did, it was with the same indifference you'd give to a neighbor who simply doesn't matter. I don't want to sound like a victim here, but it's really hard to grow up feeling like you were a burden and that no one in your family cared whether you were there or not. So, I guess you understand why I started distancing myself from my family when I was just a teenager. Things just felt easier that way. I didn't have to worry about being a burden to anyone. I spent a lot of time alone or with friends, and it was clear I was never going to get the attention or care I needed from my parents. Sometimes I felt like it would have been better if I had never been adopted. I mean, it seemed like they adopted me just to ignore me and act like they didn't care. That hurt a lot. I don't know what's worse, not having a family or having one that doesn't care if you exist or not. For me, the latter was worse because I lived in the hell of constantly feeling unwanted. That's why as soon as I turned 18, I left home and distanced myself from my family. I didn't cut them off entirely, we still talk, but I'm no longer close to them. Fast forward to today, I live in another city with my fiancé, Luke. Things are going well. I'm independent and happy, and my relationship with Luke is stable and full of love. He's given me all the love I had been searching for my entire life and has been my rock since we started dating 2 years ago. I've built a life I'm proud of, even if it's not tied to the family I grew up with. I visit them on holidays and sometimes we talk on the phone, but that's it. I never let myself get too close to them, and honestly, I'm okay with that. I'm used to it now and have finally accepted it. But that doesn't mean the void they left in my heart isn't still there. And that's why I find myself here, venting to a bunch of strangers about my family that hasn't given me love. Recently, things have changed a bit. Giannis just got engaged to a guy named Peter, and now my family is reaching out to me. They want me to help with the wedding preparations. I've received messages from my mom asking if I'll help plan and maybe even attend the wedding. Giannis hasn't said much, but my parents seem insistent. They're trying to make it seem like a family affair they want me to be part of, because it wouldn't be the same without me. We're supposed to be united for Giannis's big day. I'm confused and honestly a little hurt. The same family that pushed me aside and made me feel like I didn't belong now wants me to participate in something so important. I haven't had any deep conversations with Giannis since she was a child. She's never shown any interest in me as a sister, and now I'm supposed to act like everything's fine, like the years of emotional neglect never happened. But it's not just that. There's also the fact that while I still visit them on holidays and such, I've spent much of my life trying to protect myself from the harm they caused. It feels strange to even think about getting involved in something that could potentially reopen old wounds. On the other hand, I know Giannis is my sister, even if we never bonded that way. I just feel like maybe this is her way of trying to build a relationship with me, even if she doesn't realize it yet. Perhaps this is exactly what I need to have the family I've longed for all this time. Maybe this is the way to fill the void in my heart. So here I am, stuck and needing advice from you. Should I help them with the preparations and take this opportunity to fix things between us? Or should I keep protecting myself as I've been doing all this time? Luke thinks I should help if I want to. He says it's my decision and that it could be a way to reconnect with them. He's been nothing but supportive and really understands where I'm coming from. But I still can't help feeling confused about the whole matter. So, I guess I just need advice on whether this is worth my time, or if I should keep my distance. It's been a few weeks since my initial post, and I wish I had good news. I really thought this time things would be different, truly, but now, sitting here furious and venting to a group of strangers, I realize I've been a complete fool. Honestly, I don't even know why I let myself get caught up in this toxic family again. Maybe deep down, I just wanted to believe that my family finally cared, that maybe they had finally recognized my worth, and that I could finally start to mend things. Well, spoiler alert, they didn't. After writing here, I spent a few days reading the comments and thinking about what to do. Many of you were very understanding and got my dilemma, encouraging me to give this a chance. Some of you were harsher, calling me stupid for even considering this. How I wish I had listened to you. So, as you might have guessed, I decided to help my family with Giannis's wedding preparations. Yes, I know, I should have trusted my intuition or listened to some of you who told me to stay away. But I thought maybe this was their way of trying to reconnect. I wasn't expecting miracles or a grand family moment, but I figured if they were reaching out, there had to be some sincerity behind it, right? I was wrong. So here's exactly what happened and what has me so angry. I don't know what to do other than vent about it. After I told my parents I was willing to help with the preparations, things were fine for a while. I mean, my parents acted more attentive than they had my entire life. My mom even hugged me when I said I'd help, and considering I don't remember the last time she hugged me, this was something. And yes, it was strange, but it was something I'd been craving for so long. And just for this, like the emotional fool I surely am, I let my guard down. I thought maybe they were trying to make up for all the years of neglect. I should have known it was too good to be true. As the planning progressed, I even bonded with Giannis like never before. It was like she finally acknowledged me as her sister after all this time. It felt good, but that's when things got a little weird. Giannis started asking me for money. At first, it was small things, a little extra here for decorations, a payment for the venue deposit there. She framed it as if she had no other choice and needed to make the payments immediately or lose the booking. She told me she had a big payment coming up soon and promised to pay me back in a few days. Well, I didn't think much of it. I mean, I had no problem helping my sister since money wasn't an issue for me. But still, deep down, I felt a little skeptical about the whole thing. Yet every time I doubted, Giannis turned on her charm. She assured me it was just temporary, that she'd pay everything back soon, and that she really wanted me to be part of the wedding. After all these years, I finally felt included, like the big sister I always wanted to be. I'm almost embarrassed to admit how much I wanted that. So yes, I made a few big payments. It didn't impact me financially much, but emotionally, I still felt skeptical about whether everything happening was genuine or not. Still, I decided to go along with it, thinking I was helping my family and that this would be my way of contributing to my little sister's wedding. Once most of the preparations were done, the next day, Giannis dropped the bombshell. She told me I couldn't go to the wedding. After helping her create this perfect wedding, she tells me I simply couldn't attend. She said she wanted the wedding to be for blood family only, and that since I'm adopted, it wouldn't be appropriate for me to be there. I was in shock at that moment. It was like lightning had struck me because I just stood there, stunned, trying to process what she was saying. Blood family only, as if I hadn't been there for her from the moment she was born, as if I wasn't the one who had just bailed them out with the wedding expenses. And suddenly, all the childhood insecurities came rushing back. That's when I realized they never wanted to fix things or reconnect with me. They just wanted to use me, and now that they were discarding me. They've always been this way, and I was the idiot, the naive one who thought things could change. I was the one who let myself be used and tossed aside like trash. So, I left immediately. I didn't say a word to Giannis or my parents. I didn't even look back. I just left. I was furious, and I still am. Part of me is angry at them, but another part is angry at myself for letting this happen. I should have known better. I should have trusted my instincts, but no, I let myself get swept up in some kind of fairy tale where they finally wanted me. But I'll tell you one thing, I'm done. Absolutely, totally done with them. Done with their lies, with being their forgotten daughter they only remember when they need something. And now I'm planning something. I don't know if it will work or not, but they're not going to get away with it. Do they think they can treat me like garbage and go on with their lives? Well, now they'll have to face the consequences. Guys, I'll update you once I carry out my plan. Until then, goodbye. Let's just say things have gotten interesting, or rather, karma finally showed up and did its thing. The wedding was a few days ago, and guess what? My phone hasn't stopped ringing since. And yes, it's my parents who won't stop calling me. No, they're not calling to apologize or to say how what Giannis did was wrong, and she shouldn't have done it. In fact, they're calling to ask for my help because apparently Giannis is neck-deep in debt, and somehow they think it's my fault. Remember I mentioned I was planning something after the whole blood family, only fiasco? Well, I decided that if Giannis wanted to use me and then throw me away like trash, she'd have to face the consequences of her actions. So after calming down enough to act, I went and canceled all the reservations I had made for her wedding, every single one of them. The deposits, the payments, everything. Some of my money was refunded, but of course, I didn't get all of it back since some things were non-refundable. But I didn't care. That was the price I was willing to pay to see Giannis struggle with what mattered most to her at that moment, her wedding. Once I canceled some of the more significant arrangements, the wedding began to fall apart, and everything unraveled quickly. As soon as Giannis realized what I had done and saw her wedding falling apart, she started running around, trying to reorganize everything last minute. And because it was all so rushed, she ended up paying much more than I had originally paid. She was desperate, so she ended up taking out a massive loan to cover everything. Now she's drowning in debt because she thought she could play me and get away with it. Needless to say, the wedding was an absolute disaster. And yes, I mean, it was an acceptable wedding, but nothing compared to the perfect wedding I had helped Giannis plan. Since everything was arranged last minute and haphazardly, the wedding was like a total circus, and Giannis was humiliated, from what I've heard. But at the end of the day, she got married, and that's what matters, I guess, right? Except for the fact that she's now in massive debt. That's why my parents haven't stopped calling me, trying to guilt me into helping her. They keep saying Giannis is in a bad spot and that, as her older sister, I'm responsible for taking care of her. Seriously? Where was this older sister during her wedding? Oh, right, not invited because she's not blood. They even had the audacity to tell me I should let go of the past and be the bigger person. I laughed when they said that and told them I'm not a doormat they can walk all over when it's convenient. Giannis is the one who caused this entire situation herself, and if she thought she could get away with using me, she was wrong.